What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Cartoon Season. I'm Tyler, and this is, of course, where we get to talk about all sorts of animation. We got cartoons, anime, shows, and in today's case, a movie. We are continuing the Christmas week. Figured out the order yesterday, actually. I came out with the Grinch episode. Wasn't sure when it was going to release and just figured why not drop them in the order that I record them. So today should be a Tuesday. And doing Polar Express. I don't remember when this came out. I think it was probably like mid 2000s somewhere. Maybe late 2000s. And movie that I feel like a lot of people like. A lot of people associate with Christmas in terms of a good animated Christmas story. And let's talk about if it actually holds up. Because there's a couple things. Well, there is one thing. I would say the main topic would be, I want to talk about how the main character becomes a believer. Right? I think that's kind of the main theme, I guess, of this movie is him not believing for the whole time. And him keep questioning where are they really going, where's this train, what's going on with everyone. But the other thing that I'm talking about first is just some weird decisions that I feel like this movie made. And it's not necessarily me saying that it's bad stuff, it's just weird stuff that when you look back on it, it's like I feel like they were maybe not struggling. But I mean, this is adapted from a 20-page kids picture book, But we can get into that. Before we do, just a reminder: go to the Tiger T YouTube channel, find more stuff there, or any other podcast service, and you can find it there. Links will be in the description for all the places you can find this show. And you can also follow Tiger T on Twitter as well as me on Twitter. Links for that will be in the description. And have a good time, So like I said, the first part here, very, before even that, the people, the way the show is animated, very weird. Very odd. I feel like at the time, it was impressive. But you look back on it now and it's just there's something really uncanny about it. Where it's everyone almost looks like real people. Not the quality of the animation, because this was a decade and a half ago. Maybe longer. We've gotten a lot better. But it's just their facial structure and then the way they move, very weird. It's close to human, but it's not quite. But getting into some of the stuff I actually wrote down, like I said, just some weird decisions they made in this movie that I don't feel quite fit, and I don't really know what the point of it was. One of the first ones I always think of is there's that scene where they are going through the train, and they're trying to get back to, the cart where everyone is, and they're all sitting down, drinking hot chocolate and stuff. And they come upon this one cart that I think is towards, I guess it's towards the front of the train because they're going back. And it's with all the toys, all the broken and discarded toys. And it's supposed to be sad. Oh man, these were left behind, and Santa has this thing he's trying to do. We're trying to refurbish them and give them new life, which is nice. Then it very quickly turns into a horror scene. Because you have all these marionettes, and they're swinging around, and you got to bump into them to get past them and everything. And then the two characters, the conductor and the girl, kind of pull ahead, and our boy here gets left behind. And that's when it kind of starts to be oh, this is kind of creepy. And then he starts bumping into the marionettes. He starts getting tied into them, and then the one throws a hand on his shoulder, starts talking, and then you realize that it's the dude that was at the top of the train. But the reason the scene is so weird because, like, one, why is there like a weird, like, creepy horror scene in the middle of this movie? Like, I don't think that, like, the tone of the scene is so different than the entire movie. It's like, why did we include it? You know, like, was it supposed to, like, scare him into believing? Because I feel like that's not really the message of the film. And then just like another, like, when the Scrooge doll is talking to him, it's like, oh man, this is scary. It's like a ghost or something. And then in that moment, you know, you kind of believe it because you kind of see that, you know, maybe there's some sort of magic in this movie. You know, just the fact that it is them going to the North Pole and see Santa and everything. But then he looks up and he sees that it's that like homeless dude or whatever, I don't know, that's controlling him. And he's still scared. Still scared after that. And it's like, at that point, I would see that, okay, this doll has not come to life. There's a dude that's kind of messing with me. Wouldn't be scared anymore. Like, oh, it's just a dude, you know? It's like with like real horror films, like real scary movies. It's like, oh, in the moment you're watching it's scary, but if you were ever, like, I imagine the people on set making the horror film aren't scared of the, like, demon or whatever. You know, like, I imagine when they were making the, like, Nightmare on Elm Street movies, like, the people on set were actually scared of the dude in makeup who looks like Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, that's Phil or whatever. I don't remember who the dude that plays Freddy Krueger is. I think he didn't, like, pass away recently. I don't know. That's not important. You know, so I feel like it's the same thing here where it's like, one, why did we include this scene? A weird tone, and then we just never talk about it again. And then two, why was our boy here still scared after he clearly, like, you saw behind the curtain? You know, it's like if someone performs a magic trick for you and then they tell you how they do it, it's like, oh, it's not really special anymore, you know, because now I know magic isn't real. Another weird thing, why wouldn't Tom Hanks tell them where he was bringing the girl main character? Because you remember, probably like towards the first third, maybe edging on the halfway point in the movie, the girl loses her ticket, right? And so he's like, ah, yeah, come with me, and they go to the back of the train and they, like, leave or whatever. And it's just so weird because, like, they thought, and especially the boy was like, oh, something's gonna happen to her, like, she's gonna get in trouble. And then the know-it-all kid was like, oh, he's gonna throw her off the train, which is really stupid. But I guess, like, kids would believe that because, like, in your kid mind, it's like, oh yeah, if you don't have a ticket, then you can't ride the train. So he's gonna throw her off. He was never gonna do that. That's dumb. But he also made it, like, unnecessarily, like, mystifying and ominous at the same time. Where it's like, why wouldn't you just say, because, like, clearly these kids, you know, they know, like, they're kids, and then even the main character here, like, they have some sort of a bond, you know, like, they've grown closer than other kids. It's like, why would you just say, hey, so she doesn't have a ticket, so she can't really ride the train, I'm gonna move her up to the front and she's gonna kind of help out, you know, because according to the rules, you know, she can't really ride in this rail car without a ticket, you know. Just explain it, and then there would be no, like, nervousness coming from this boy. You'd be like, oh, okay, she's not getting thrown off the train into the snowy tundra. You know. But it's just weird, like, why, like, did he do that on purpose at the boy? Because, like, he clearly wasn't happy later on in the movie when he saw them, like, not really messing around, but he saw stuff going on with the train, and he's like, all right, I gotta go check the control room, and he sees the boy there. So, like, to me, he wasn't luring the boy there for some, like, message, you know, some, like, what's the term, lesson, you know. It's like, why wouldn't you just say, you know, ease everyone's mind and say, hey, I'm not throwing her off the train to her death. I'm just bringing her to another cart where she can be sans ticket, you know. Another thing with Tom Hanks, who was the conductor, by the way, Tom Hanks was mad at them for the caribou. You know, like I understand it, right? Because he was going with the schedule. He's like, I've never been late to this thing. I'm not gonna start this time. I get that, but he was like yelling at them, and it's like, dude, just look like slightly to your left, and you'll see there's about 4 million caribou that are blocking our path right now. There's nothing we can do. Like, we stopped the train, because if we didn't, at least a few caribou would have died from the impact of the train. And then this train probably wouldn't be able to take it, because how many caribou would it have to run? Like caribou are pretty big. How many would it have to run through before it gets before it literally damages the train beyond repair, you know? Or at least beyond repair for them just being in the middle of nowhere. So it's like, again, it's just a weird thing where like Tom Hanks' character is like, I get he's trying to keep to a schedule and he's the conductor and this is his job, this is his role, but like, come on, man, you gotta step outside yourself sometimes. And then the last just weird thing, I'm sure there's more stuff, but these are the 4 that I really like stuck in my mind, was that we don't know any of these characters' names. Like, none of them. We're never introduced to any of them. I think maybe the boy who was like alone and like wanted friends, I think his name was like Billy. I think they say that like once in the movie. But like, even that, I'm not 100% confident. And then even with that, why don't we know the main character's name? Like, isn't that weird? Like, part of me would explain this off as like a Zelda situation where we know Link's name, but we never hear Link speak in games, and that's most likely due to, you know, like the creators of the game trying to be clever and making it so that the player kind of puts themselves in Link's shoes, you know, so you are kind of the main character, you're kind of being Link as you play the game, you know, because if he had a voice, then you could, you know, you kind of separate him as an individual. I'm not sure that's what they were doing here, though. You know, I'm not sure they're trying to be that clever of like, oh, we're not going to give him a name because he's just the not faceless, but you know, like the nameless main character that any kid watching this movie can put themselves into the shoes of. I don't know if they were doing that. I just think they didn't really care enough to make him have a name. They're like, it doesn't matter. Does he need a name? And I guess not. But I feel like if these characters all had names, we could maybe relate to them a little more. And actually just care about their arcs and like their feelings towards each other and towards the holiday and, you know, how they save each other in certain moments. I don't know. It's just very weird that a movie exists and we don't know the main characters' names. But yeah, those are kind of all the weird decisions that I feel like this movie made. Again, I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones that stuck out. Of just like, I don't understand why they wrote it that way. You know, hey, it worked. Again, Polar Express, one of those animated movies that people definitely look back on as like top tier Christmas movies, but I don't know. And then the other thing, like I said, I wanted to talk about was really the main thing of the main character becoming a believer, which I think is the main theme of the movie. You know, the main arc that this character goes through, because everyone else pretty much believes, but he's hesitant. You know, and I think that starts off right in the beginning where he sees a train and he's like, I don't know about this. You know, he even initially is like, I'm not hopping on this train. This is bad news. But in that, and again, it's better exemplified in hindsight, but there being a magic train, pretty tough proof. You know, like train can't just ride on the street. So the fact that the train pulled up on your house, there's something going on there, you know. And then later on, he meets a man on top of the train, and that's another really good scene where they kind of hash it out a little bit. You know, the main man up there, he discusses Santa, he discusses Christmas. And even the man on the train, even in that like horror scene that we got, kind of berates the kid about like not believing. And it's like, because and I understand where it's coming from. Where it's like at this point you still don't believe. Like, do you not believe or do you not want to believe? And like either one of those is pretty sad. But like, why? Like, there's been so much, so much proof has hit you in the face. We haven't seen Santa yet. We haven't seen elves or the North Pole or anything like that yet. But there's so much magic that has happened at this point in the movie. And for you to, it seems like not want to believe, you want to explain it all away, is very Scrooge of you, you know? Then a little bit later on, the train slides across the frozen lake, you know, and like that right there, I feel like isn't too much magic necessarily, but it is the closest thing you can get to in magic, I feel like, in real life. Because it's like, there's no way that should have worked. There's no way they should have been able to slide the entire train across a frozen lake and make it in that narrow little gap, you know, with, you know, Tom Hanks saving them a couple times from falling off, with the the engineers or whatever, them fumbling around but still able to find a solution. Like that right there is like real life magic. And then, I mean, really, if you don't believe at this point, once you start going, you know, once you start crashing through Santa's workshop, you know, first the North Pole is real. It's here. I mean, North Pole is real in real life, but like, you know, there's like a whole village and everything. And then for them to go to Santa's workshop with all the elves and the toys and the weird like militarization of the like, I mean, not even that's not necessarily true. The just like secret agency of it all, you know, where the people are deciding like, oh, they have a million screens, they're deciding if that right there warrants them being on the naughty list or if we can let them slide this time, you know. Like I really enjoyed that. But them seeing all this, it's like at this point we haven't seen Santa yet in this movie, but at this point, come on, man, like you have to believe, you know. And I think up until this point it's been uphill, you know, where like the more he sees, the more like magical things that happen, I feel like wear him down, you know. And then the help of, you know, this girl that we see, you know, Billy, I guess that's his name, I think, the conductor, the man, like everything gets tacked on, and it compounds on each other to the point where they go through Santa's workshop, and it's like, it's impossible, you know, to still try to not enjoy this holiday or not, you know, want Santa to come to your house. And you know, it eventually works, you know, because once he's able to believe, once he wills himself to believe, once he truly in his heart of hearts says like, I believe, he can hear the bell ring. And that's great. You know, that's a nice little cherry on top of his story, and, you know, to kind of wipe up all the negativity that he did have throughout the rest of the movie. And then we have a nice little epilogue at the end where he gets the bell for Christmas, right? Because he like fell out of his pocket or whatever, which that came all the way around his ripped pocket. And he gets the bell for Christmas and he's still able to hear it. And it's great because, well, it's just a bell, like whatever, like that doesn't necessarily have to be magic, but his parents don't hear it. You know, his parents have a comment. I was like, oh man, you got a broken bell. How sad. It doesn't make any noise. And the kid and his sister are like, what are you talking about? You can clearly hear it, you know? And then there's some like epilogue further than that, I'm pretty sure, where as he grows older, like his sister stops being able to hear it or something, but he's still able to hear it because he still believes, which makes sense because, you know, if you're assuming that the sister never went on the Polar Express, like she'd just be like everyone else, but he actually went on it, had this crazy adventure, met Santa, spoke to Santa, you know, so it makes sense that he would be a believer for literally the rest of his life. But yeah, that's it with that arc. Again, I just wanted to touch on the few points in the movie where I feel like, again, compound on each other to eventually wear him down and make him a believer, as really every kid should. Every kid that is taught about Santa in that way should believe in them for, you know, a little bit. So yeah, that's it for that movie. Again, I do think, but overall, Polar Express, very good movie. I don't really think it's top tier, like a top tier film. You know, I honestly, if you didn't watch the Grinch episode I did yesterday, you should go check it out, because I kind of like the Grinch one better. You know, it might be because it's more modern, and I haven't seen it as much, but again, there's just some weird things about this movie. You know, not only about the story that I mentioned, but some like just animation stuff that I don't really love. That I don't think is aged well, which isn't the movie's fault. It's just, you know, that's when it was made. You know, I'm sure we'll look back at something like the Grinch movie and that didn't age well either. Yeah, overall good time. Let me know what you thought of the movie, where it kind of ranks in your hierarchy of Christmas movies. You know, even if it's specifically like the animated ones, let me know where it ranks. Let me know what you thought. And I think that's pretty much it for the movie. Like I said, this is Christmas week. Yesterday dropped off a sweet little Grinch episode, the new Grinch 2018, I think it came out. And we do have more movies coming out this week, so check those out when they drop. I think that's it. Yeah, what do I normally plug at the end of episodes? I don't know. Nothing. Just watch more episodes. Like I said, links for YouTube, for all the podcast platforms, Twitter, all that stuff. Let me know. Other than Christmas, let me know what other episodes, other like shows and movies you want to see. And yep, that's it. So until next time, don't go through the puppet train car. Never a good sign. Literally, never. just visually, I would just avoid that train car completely. I would just say, you know what? Not going through. Let's go up and over, and just skip to the next train car.